What up? What up? RJ.
Yo, what's up?
This is RJ Fantasy Football Talk, and we back again for another show. You know who I am. You know the greatest, Rodney. We got the other greatest, JJ. What's going on, bruh?
Hey, nothing much. I think you might have lost your senses being the
Oh
greatest
man,
because I got statistics and data to show that I am the greatest. But
come on. I
uh,
said we both the greatest. See, I
yeah,
gave you,
but
I gave you props. Don't do me
but
like that.
but you were the greatest first, and I just think it should be known. If there's gonna be someone mentioned as the greatest first, it should be. I go there, but I'm gonna let's do some small talk before I go there.
Okay, first of all, we can equally be the
Yeah.
greatest. You know, I'm not saying I'm first, but I'm just saying we
Okay.
both the greatest.
Yeah.
This is the great show.
Two
We
great
both the
people
greatest. Two
talking
great
about a
people.
great sport of
That's
football.
all I'm saying.
All right, I give you that
Okay,
one.
thank you.
So,
See
how,
how you
how
go.
how'd you do this week in fantasy football? That's the first comment right
Well,
there.
I won 4 out of 6 leagues, so it looked a little kind of bleak at first, but I kind of pulled some wins
Right,
out on Monday night, which I needed. So I'm
right.
good. So I went from I was on one a couple leagues, now I'm 1-1. So I'm
Okay.
cool. So how did you do?
I did the same as I did last week, which is not great, but it's okay. I'm in 7 leagues. I went 3-4. I'm 2-0 in two of the leagues. I am 0-2 in the other two leagues, and then the other three I'm 1-1. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag,
Okay.
but it's gonna start trending up. As long as we don't have another week like we had this
Like,
week
yes,
with
we did.
injuries, because that's
Oh
that's I think
God,
that's the main headline. If there's a story for this week,
man.
yeah.
Well,
So
I don't even want to jump into that yet because it's so much. It's so many injuries. It makes your head. I just feel like the
okay,
injuries, man. It's so many to talk about. We just gotta kind of start somewhere light first. So,
okay,
first let's talk about some impact players for the week. Obviously, we're gonna start with some quarterbacks.
okay,
I'm gonna go ahead and get mine out of the way. 34, 47, four
right.
50 and a touchdown. Josh Allen. A ton of time with Josh Allen, but
Hey,
I gotta get credit where credit's due. 24 for 35, 417 for a touchdown, even though it was against the Miami Dolphins. But
hey, for a fantasy player, I don't care.
me
So,
either. I
hey,
mean,
I think we both started in the off season being highly critical of Josh Allen.
yes.
Stay with us. I think we were stalling a little bit. I think we came back. Um, we both been very critical of Josh Allen. I'm not gonna say I'm fully on board the Josh Allen train. We have a mutual friend of ours, who called us out in our comment section
Yes.
last week. Said our Josh Allen hate did not age well, and he's right. I can't even argue. Josh Allen is looking legit against the Jets and the Dolphins. So
Well, he has a tougher
yeah,
matchup this week.
yeah,
So we're gonna see what he do. And then my last one, who everybody counted out this year, he signed pretty late with his team. Cam Newton. Cam
oh,
Newton had
Cam
a
Newton looked pretty
ball game.
good this week. Yeah.
30 for 44, 397, and he had a
Hmm.
passing touchdown, but he also had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
And the reason I got Cam up here is
Hmm.
Cam did not look like regular Cam. Cam
Yeah.
stood in the pocket because I think Cam is definitely um he's gonna put up numbers. So
Right.
definitely, if you got Cam, stick with him. Might be surprised for you.
Yeah.
So that's my three that I have. Do you have any that
Oh
you
yeah.
got?
Well, I have the ones you said, but doing a lot of buffering and stalling. We're back. Okay. Because just so everybody that watches the show knows, Rodney is a huge 49ers fan. And
Yes.
because he's a 49ers fan, he has a lot of hate in his heart for the Seattle Seahawks. And
Yes, I
so
do.
I think the first quarterback you left off was the guy who threw 5 touchdowns. His name is Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited.
Okay.
So you got to have him in there because Russell Wilson is the truth. And I started the season saying Pat Mahomes is undoubtedly the best quarterback. I haven't fully moved over from Pat Mahomes yet. I'm still trying to stay on the bandwagon, but I'm unfaithful, and I'm giving that eye over there to Russell Wilson. I'm like, I mean, I still am in love with you, Mahomes, but let's Pat Russell Wilson looking good, Pat, and so he need to pick it up because Russell Wilson is that dude. But I want to give my special star to a guy who, and we're going to talk about the entire situation, I know, a lot later, but I got to give some credit to Justin Herbert, who didn't even
Yes.
know he was going to be the starter. And just
Yes.
at the last minute came in. And he did work. 311 yards, a touchdown rushing, a touchdown passing. And though through no fault of his own, Tyrod might be sitting on the
Yeah.
outside. He might be the backup. His coach has his back, though. His coach says Tyrod's that dude. There's a reason that Justin Herbert's the backup, but I don't think that reason's gonna last long. So I mean, he's saying I have my players back, especially when the doctor stabbed him in the lungs. We'll talk about, but
Yeah,
but the truth is, no, this is Justin Herbert's team already. He made that obvious the first time he
yes.
stepped on the field. So he may not be ready, but he's ready. So,
I will say this: he makes Mike Williams, Keenan Allen.
yeah.
He makes everybody Eckler.
Yeah.
He makes everybody way better in fantasy, just because of the fact Hunter Henry. Those guys are gonna be a
Right.
lot better just because he's in the game. No
Right.
disrespect to Tyrod, he's a Virginian. I love my Virginians, definitely.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when he came in and he started doing work and he
Yeah.
actually almost won the game for them, I was like, yo, it's over for Tyrod.
Against the
Tyrod,
Super Bowl champs.
yeah.
He just
So
made it look like, yeah, I do this all the time. So, Justin Herbert, watch out for him.
I was saying week 5,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Or
stranger
week
things
2.
have happened.
So
Week 2, so definitely.
So who knows? Who knows?
And I did not mean to leave off Russell Wilson.
Yes,
I
you
honestly forgot.
It's sad.
So it's not a hate thing. He did ball out. So I will give credit where credit's due. He did ball out. So
He
it's not a
balled
hate
out.
thing.
Okay.
He balled out. So
I'm gonna blame it on your head, not your heart.
So it's not a hate thing. It's just I came up. I try to keep this pretty short, but I try to look for people that actually you can't go with the common ones every time. So you got to kind of
True enough.
So we can roll over the running backs, which
all right. Who did work?
These guys did work. Aaron Jones, we all know about Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones won me a game by himself.
Aaron Jones, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Definitely did work. Look, he did work all last year.
Yeah.
And it was a little skeptical when they drafted a running back this year if he would do the same thing. But he came in and definitely he balled out. I give it to him.
I say A.J. Dillon scared a lot of people off from Aaron Jones. And I think they got scared very prematurely because A.J. Dillon's been nothing in his way. So, yeah, Aaron Jones putting in work. Who else you had?
These other two I got may come as a surprise because I've been down on these. I've been down on at least one of these guys. Nick Chubb.
Yes.
So I'm gonna show some love to Nick Chubb tonight.
Yes.
Nick Chubb, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. So between him and Kareem Hunt, they had 4 touchdowns, and I want to say a little over 250 yards together. So
the fact that they did it together, I think, is the biggest. Because the biggest thing is people are saying is, I'm down on Nick Chubb now because Kareem Hunt's gonna do such and such and such. The fact that they both blew up that game, I don't think that's the long term. I mean, it was Cincinnati, so whatever.
Yeah.
so, but the fact that they both were able to put in some work, I think that made a lot of fantasy owners happy, except for the ones that benched Nick Chubb because they they didn't believe in him anymore. So.
Well, I would say this: I think Cleveland is starting to get what they need to do, honestly, if that makes sense, because they can't rely on their quarterback. So they have to rely on the running game.
Right.
And they really did outside of that touchdown from I'm having a brain fart. From Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside of that, I think that was because Landry had 3 receptions
Landry did not have a great game.
6 targets, so they kind of ditched the whole passing game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way if they're going to win, which I don't think they will. That's how they're going to say, "Sorry, Baker, you are who you are." Who was it? Was Ryan Clark basically had a big thing. He was talking about, "Hey, the truth is Baker Mayfield is a limited guy,
Yep.
and that's everybody else's fault for gassing them up. And so
Mm-hmm.
perhaps the Cleveland offense is going to run around the running game, which it should, because you
Which you
have
should.
have those two running backs. Only use Baker as you need to, and
Yes, definitely.
yeah,
And my last one is I am so glad he finally
is
stepped
it my
up,
guy?
took the job. Leonard
Leonard
Fournette.
Fournette? Yes.
I I am
Yeah.
so glad because I have Leonard Fournette in the league.
Did
I
you
kept
play
him on
him?
my bench. No, he was on
Yeah.
my bench. So
All right.
he put up 32 points on my bench.
Yeah.
But
Huh.
I ain't even upset with that. I'm
Right.
just glad that
That he's done.
he took the job. And I want to say I was right because I said by week 2 or 3. But he had 102 yards and 2 touchdowns only on like 16 carries.
Yeah.
So
He did a
and I
lot
think
with a little. Yeah.
with a little, and I think they're gonna give him 20 carries this week
I
because
hope so.
if they going based off because let's be honest, Tom Brady is not the same Tom Brady. You're really seeing the cracks in Tom Brady a little bit, so they kind of gonna lean on that running game just a little bit more than they normally would. So I think giving him 20 to 25 carries. Ronald Jones is not that good. We just gonna be honest now. Ronald Jones, they tried to make him good. They tried to force him to be the man, and it's just not gonna happen.
Well,
So
so what do you do if you have Ronald Jones? I don't know why you would, but if you have Ronald Jones on your roster, do you put him to your bench now, or do you see if that was just an anomaly and see if he puts in work week 3?
I mean, I will hold how this week play out. If they give Leonard Fournette 20 to 25 carries and he gets 5 as far as spelling him,
Mm-hmm.
then it might be time to move on because
Right.
they got a game plan together where hey, he deserves more he deserves more carries, so we're gonna give it to him. If he come out and go for 100 yards this week on 25 carries and 2 touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Jones is in the back.
He's
He
a
ain't got to worry
handcuff.
about him
I
no more. Yeah,
mean, that's really what he is. He's a handcuff for Leonard
yeah,
Fournette, and I think,
yeah.
and
Even
hopefully
and the
it
thing
goes.
is,
Yeah.
they didn't even run Shady. Like Shady didn't even get that many
Shady
because
is
you got
not.
to.
I don't know why people keep mentioning. I don't know why it was even a headline when he signed with the team. Shady McCoy
Well, the reason
is
I say that because the
yeah,
first they kind of
yeah,
split those
they
carries up
did,
a little
they
bit,
did.
but Shady didn't even get a.
He
Shady
doesn't
didn't touch the
deserve.
ball.
He does not. Shady should be retired. He's
He
in
should
Florida. He's in a perfect spot. Just go ahead and retire
just go ahead and
because
retire.
it's over. It's over.
So
But
that's my 3 that
that's
I
your
have
running
for that.
backs. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give some respect to a guy who lost, but Alvin Kamara. He played against my beloved Raiders. But Kamara had 79 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 95 receiving yards. He was about the only thing that was really doing work over there in New Orleans
Yeah.
this game. Not enough to get past that vaunted, Raiders defense that lasted long enough. That's all they
Yeah.
really did. They lasted. He gets it, and then you said everybody else on my list, so I just
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I love that. Come on. I wanted to put him up here, but like I said in the beginning, I
Yeah,
was really searching for guys that stood out a little bit more than the
yeah. You
obvious
can't.
ones.
Yeah, right.
So, um, but I think he really all they had. They really missed
He's
Michael Thomas.
yeah.
We was just talking about that. They missed Michael Thomas so bad because Emmanuel Sanders had 1 reception.
That was the most important. Have the Saturday show that we was not very big on Traquan Smith because I was
Yeah,
like Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the guy to have him and Jared Cook, and
yeah,
it actually ended up being Traquan Smith. He still didn't have a stellar night, but compared to every other wide receiver, he was about the
yeah,
only.
definitely.
He was Alvin Kamara and him were about it.
I
So
mean, because Kamara was, I mean, I think he had 7 receptions out of the
yeah,
backfield, and he did his thing rushing. So it's just they need that. Like the one thing I did notice, Taysom Hill didn't kind of just
yeah,
disrupt, and I think
yeah.
that's we'll hop on that later. But I think that's part of the problem with Drew Brees. Not to hop off that subject, but he's not getting the flow because they keep taking him out of the flow, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the problem. So now we're
Well,
gonna bounce to receivers.
all right,
I
before we
got
do, and this is actually appropriate with receivers, we have our first comment for the night from Emmanuel. Corey Davis, Marquise Brown, John Brown. It's at flex non PPR. Who do you go with between those three?
say Corey Davis. You
Corey
got
Davis, Yeah,
Hollywood
Hollywood
Brown.
Brown, and
Mm-hmm.
then John Brown.
It all depends on if AJ Brown plays. If
I,
AJ Brown plays, then you can go
right.
Corey Davis. But I will
Yeah.
say this: John Brown has been balling lately.
Yes.
He's probably the most safe between him and Hollywood because I
Yeah.
feel like that game against Kansas City is going to be a shootout.
I
Hollywood is
think
going to
so.
have to step up. So if I'm going in an order, I'm going John Brown, Hollywood, and then I'm going Corey Davis because it all really depends on if AJ Brown plays.
Right.
So I would definitely go there.
Brown's playing this week.
I have him in a couple leagues, and I've been following them for a couple, like today, and they saying he has not practiced.
Right.
They say he kind of leaning on the side of not playing,
Right.
but they say they got to. So
right. It's early to make that
early. Yeah.
plan him
Yeah.
this week because I don't think AJ Brown's gonna go. So I actually like Corey Davis probably more than anybody else on this list, only because for the first time we're gonna see Josh Allen with a quality defense he's going to go against. But I would say if A.J. Brown doesn't play, Corey Davis is my first choice. Then I'd go with you on John Brown. Marquise Brown, I like it. So far, unless your name is Mark Andrews, I don't really know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that Lamar Jackson can see anyone, but Mark, hey, and Mark Andrews gets the job done, so I understand it. But yeah.
That make a lot of sense because now you think about it, I would go John Brown, Corey Davis, Hollywood Brown. Mark Andrews, once they get between the 20 and goal line, that's all he think about anyway. He don't think about nobody else.
Yeah.
And then, Hollywood, he's dependent on that long pass, which really Lamar's not throwing it to him. So
it could happen with this, like you said, with this game. This should be a good shootout game.
Definitely a shootout.
However, I'm not going to trust it just because sometimes the games you think are going to be shootouts don't end up being that. And so I could just as easily see Marquise Brown disappointing me. So, yeah. A.J. Brown doesn't play. Corey Davis, number one. A.J. Brown plays. John Brown, number one. That's my. But thanks for the question, Emmanuel. Thanks. So all right, you were about to say, though, the impact wide receivers. Who you have?
I have it.
Okay.
He balled out. Eight receptions, 197, no touchdowns. But again, it goes back to Cam sitting in the pocket, getting the ball to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, he's been only playing. He doesn't even start. He comes in on as a slot receiver. So he's getting those yards, basically chunk plays. He averaged like 22 yards a catch. So it's literally just chunk plays that he's getting. So he's one. Stephon Diggs. I've been knocking Stephon Diggs the whole year.
He came through this week.
I want to apologize, Stephon Diggs. I'm going to apologize to you. I've been knocking you. But, 8 receptions, 153 and a touchdown. I apologize. You did your thing. You've been doing your thing. Hey, I can be wrong. So I'm good with that.
Well, I think we were wrong on Stephon Diggs because we were wrong on John Brown. But I will still say it's been 2 weeks. We'll see. But what the progress Josh Allen has made since last year, he could be a monster this year. Like I said, I got one foot on the bandwagon, the other foot still on the deck. I'm trying to decide where I'm going. So I got
about 4 toes off 1 foot up there, and I don't know yet. So my next guy, Scary Terry, even in the losing cause, Scary Terry, and he could have had more. It was a couple plays where Dwayne just couldn't get him the ball because it was a couple area plays. But he had 7, 125, and a touchdown. He came to play. It's just they have nothing else out there. So he's going to get his regardless. But I just wanted to show him some love tonight because he get double teamed and triple teamed because they have nothing on the other side. And I'm gonna show some tight ends some love too. Make sure I say this right. Mike Gesicki from Miami.
I think Gesicki.
Gesicki, okay.
I picked him up too this week.
Me too. I picked him up in 2 leagues. So 8 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown did work. But
monster work. Yeah.
This guy I watched the game. This guy was a monster.
Yeah.
He got the ball all over the field. Nobody can stop him. He had 12 receptions,
Mm-hmm.
103 yards, and a touchdown. His name is Darren Waller.
Darren Waller.
Darren Waller.
You cannot contain him. Right.
You cannot contain Darren Waller.
Yeah.
I I even like his story.
Yeah.
He had his story. If y'all don't know his story is amazing. Um, he was on a practice squad with the Raiders, and they say John Gruden came out to look at the practice squad, and he was just so much better than everybody else out there. He was like, "Yo, who is that guy?" He was
Right.
like, "He's better than the receivers we got out there." He was like, they literally signed him to a contract the next hour, and had him on a plane going back to. So it's you gotta say he balling, man.
And you go from the redemption story from his addiction problem that he
Yes,
had
that too.
before.
Exactly.
And so, and little known fact, because Fats Waller is his grandfather, if I remember correctly. So if you're into the old jazz music, Fats Waller is a legend, and that's his family. I was like, okay.
So I gotta show, and I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm saying he's the top 3 tight end right now, hands down,
easily.
I'm bumping Ertz down.
Now here's the question: based off what we've seen so far from Waller, is he gonna? I know you said top 3, bumping down Ertz. What about Kittle and Kelsey? Is he getting in that realm yet, or do you just need to see a little bit more?
I think he's in that realm with them. I would honestly say, because if you go based off last year, he did 1,000 last year, so he gonna do 1,000 this year too, obviously. So you can put him in that. And the thing with Ertz, I'm sliding Ertz down just because of the fact of Goddard there. Right. So you're not gonna get package. Waller has no competition there, man.
Right.
Not even from a receiver standpoint, he has no competition. And you know that more than I know.
They brought in Jason Witten, which I didn't understand in the all season, but yeah, it hasn't affected Waller at all. No. I didn't think it would, but yeah.
No, Ruggs is a nice piece, but but you know me, you talk all the time. Ruggs is not better than, I can't remember the other receiver's name on the other end. You do know.
Brian Edwards?
Brian Edwards.
Yeah.
Yes. To me, Brian Edwards is going to be a better receiver over a period of time than Ruggs, because Brian Edwards is a complete receiver than Ruggs. So I would definitely, but he has no competition out there. He literally got thrown the ball 15 times the other night.
Yeah.
So, and they couldn't do nothing about it. They double teamed him. They had a safety over the top. It was insane. They couldn't stop him. So that's who I got for my wide receiver / tight end list.
Yeah. You again on my list. Only tight. I want to stay on tight ends since we went there. I'm gonna throw in Higbee, a guy who I wasn't really 3 touchdowns this week.
Yeah.
So he put in my sort, and of course, what can you say? Calvin Ridley.
Man, every week, man. Like every week.
I mean, it's hard to say because they throw so much and there's so much room for everybody. But watching these first 2 weeks, I'm not convinced that Julio Jones is the number 1 receiver anymore. I mean, because we talked about Calvin Ridley's ascension, and right now, I say that probably Julio's the man still this year. I'm backing off that. So I don't know. Calvin Ridley might be, and not that Julio's doing bad or anything this year, but Calvin Ridley is just amazing. We knew he was gonna be, but I think he's beyond expectations.
Well, they say Calvin Ridley, not Calvin. I'm sorry. They say Julio Jones is hurt, actually.
Yeah, I mean, true.
So they say he's hurt. So they saying I want to say it's an ankle injury or something. So they saying. They saying he hurt, but they saying he gonna fight through it. You know how Julio Jones.
But I mean,
he only had 2 receptions in 24 yards. But Ridley, you can even say Russell Gage. Russell Gage.
I picked him up in 1 league too.
I picked him up in league too. So people you see, we think alike. So we don't get much stuff wrong except the picks thing, but that's just more of a competition thing. So
You brought it up, so let's show the audience what you're talking about. Not doing well. You went 8-8 again. I went 15-1. Only missed that one game. My mother's gonna be horribly mad at me because I picked against her Indianapolis Colts, but I missed one game. You're falling behind. You falling way behind. So
I make it up. Ain't no big deal. I go against you,
yeah.
so it's cool.
So yeah.
I mean, other than that, we think pretty much alike.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're off, So I just got to make it up somehow. I'll make it up for that. So,
Yeah.
Now being we gonna go to a topic, but we're gonna go to the topic first. So we're gonna do waiver wire pickups. So I have a few waiver wire pickups that I think some people should actually try to grab out there. Jared McKinnon is one. Jared McKinnon should be at least on the top of your list because the 49ers are down Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert at running back.
He should definitely be on your list.
He should be on your top.
The top of your list, that's high, but yeah, he should definitely. He should be high on your list. I agree with you.
He definitely should be high, and then you have Mike Davis. Mike Davis should be on your list. CMC is out 4 to 6 weeks, but we're gonna touch more on that down the line, people. And then you got Devontae Freeman, who was picked up this week by the Giants. I don't know what that's gonna do, but I feel like he's gonna get the touches. He's gonna get the touches.
Right. So, I have him in at least one league. I'm trying to see that. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head that I get him in two or not, but I have him in one. Saquon looked bad in that offense. That really has me worried about it. So when Saquon first went and Deion Lewis never even entered my mind, I was like, no. I was like, I'm not at all interested in seeing what Deion Lewis does in that offense if Saquon looked that bad. Devontae Freeman has me interested, so I did pick him up. In a couple of leagues, I think. We'll see how well it goes, and I'm still not really excited about it, but
we'll see.
You'll see how well it goes.
My last one,
the guy filling in to, and this is only a stretch. She's only owned in like 3% of leagues, so
not Michael Pittman.
No, I mean, I like Michael Pittman, but they say that Pascal's going to be the guy filling in the slot work where Campbell was. Okay. And we saw last year that given the opportunity, Pascal can get some work done for you. Pittman is a cool pickup also, but no, I just know I like Phillip Rivers throwing to slot receivers because let's just be honest with you, he's not throwing the long ball like he I think I read somewhere his average completion distance is like just under 8 yards right now. So really? It's terrible. So I like this. I like the fact that Pascal's going to fill in on the slot because that's what Campbell was doing. I put in a couple of tight ends for folks that had problems with George Kittle. I think Jordan Reed is a good pickup. He's on in like 13% of leagues right now. Good pickup. And Dalton Schultz for the Cowboys. I don't know how real it is because they were about to say that. They were going against. I was literally about to say that. They were going against Atlanta, where they had to have this miraculous. I don't know. I doubt if he gets that many targets or receptions next week. But he's shown that especially if you were a Blake Jarwin guy before and that went crashing down, that I think the tight end is going to be an important position for Dallas. And they're going to, now that I think about it, the fact that they're playing Seattle, who has Mr. Unlimited, they might need to throw that ball around a lot this week. So I think Dalton Schultz is a good pickup for you. There you go. Available in only owned in like 16% of leagues. So
let me ask you this:
he'll be there.
Being that which people should have him already? Slayton.
Yeah, Darius Slayton because with Shepard out.
With Shepard out, toe injury. You know how the toe injuries do.
Right, so they linger.
Now, do you pick anybody else up from the Giants as far as receivers?
Not really for me. Other than Darius Slayton, it's Golden State. No. I'm waiting for Evan Ingram to get his life together. But
I
other
was
than
thinking that. I was thinking that too.
uh, quite frankly, other than Darius Slayton and Evan Ingram, I'm not as enamored. Not that I was immensely enamored to begin with, but I
Mhm.
thought Danny Dimes in the Giants' offense was going to look better than they did. From the first 2 weeks, I'm shying away from anybody on that route. I have Darius Slayton. I thought he was going to be the head guy there, and I still believe in him, but he is going to be a bye week fill in person for me. I'm not. I don't think he's going to have the production that I can trust him on a week to week basis. And if he's my
Mhm.
favorite guy there, I'm not trusting anybody else with that responsibility either. So no,
I'm
nobody
I'm
else.
I'm thinking Evan Ingram is probably the one that benefits the most from Sterling
Yeah,
Shepard's injury, because if you think about last year when he got hurt, he was the one that benefited from it.
right.
I just think Daniel Jones is just not a great quarterback at all.
I'm very disappointed in what I've
Yes.
seen so far. Yeah,
Um, I read something earlier that they said they might be kind of focusing on drafting a quarterback next year because they probably gonna just close the season out and try not to win anyway and try to get number one pick and get a
well,
quarterback.
well, Saquon, I don't think they have to try for that. I think
That's true. Yeah, that's
that was
true.
going to happen. So
They saying Trevor
yeah,
Lawrence, but
yeah,
I'm not a big proponent of Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, I don't understand. But that's just me. But they do need a quarterback.
yeah.
Daniel Jones is not the answer. I don't know. So we'll see. I like all
All right.
those waiver wire pickups. But the biggest topic of the night, man.
Oh, before you get to the biggest topic, we got a new question in.
Okay.
Uh, I guess I'm supposed to. I don't know whether I'm supposed to do this in Roman numbers or just say the letter. So it's XI live, I X live, XI live, I X live.
Uh,
So between nines and 11s, it looks like. But who we starting at quarterback? Patrick Mahomes or Cam Newton?
Patrick Mahomes.
I'm saying Patrick Mahomes. I'm trying to think. The only no to Patrick Mahomes would be if you think that the Ravens defense is going to be able to slow down this train, and I'm not buying it.
Well, hold up,
I'm
hold
Mahomes
up.
all the way. Now Cam Newton's looked really good though, but and I'm gonna show my bias now. Cam Newton and the Patriots are playing against the Raiders. Not that Drew Brees is the best. At least the Drew Brees without Michael Thomas we've seen so far isn't the best representation. But Drew Brees didn't look too good against that. And the other person they had was Teddy Bridgewater, who also didn't look good. The great. I think Cam Newton probably would be better than both of those two. But I still don't think he's going to be as good with as Patrick Mahomes would be. Even with that defense, I think he's going to put in some good work. Who
Now
you got?
the question I want to ask though is it first of all we need to know scoring and is a PPR league. That kind of can make your decision because
Right.
it may be a non PPR league where running back for quarterbacks that run
Good.
get more points than
Right.
actual quarterbacks that pass. So
True.
that's
True.
what I would like to know if it's a non PPR league for quarterbacks or if it's a PPR league. And then it's a little different.
Yeah,
If it's
I
non
give you that.
PPR, you're going Cam. And if it's PPR, you're going Mahomes because Cam is going to run a little bit more than Mahomes will. He's going to run. He's going to score a few more touchdowns. But me personally, I would go Mahomes. But it just
Yeah.
depends on the league setup, if that makes sense.
It does, but I'm still gonna say here's the one thing about it, and this is both for our mottos.
Yeah.
You always start your
Just
studs, right?
that's right.
That's what we do.
That's right.
And there's not a person on God's green earth that
That was
drafted Cam
Cam
Newton ahead
and
of
Mahomes.
drafting Pat Mahomes. So
That's
on a
true.
week to week basis,
You
no
got to
matter
start
what your
Mahomes.
league setup is, you start Mahomes.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
they got to
Okay.
stay true to the principle. The
That's true. Definitely
it
got to stay
always
true to the
works.
principles.
Yeah,
So, but I mean,
but good
the
question.
league.
Thank you. And
Good question though. The league scoring and setup matters, but you definitely no matter what you ride with your horses that got you there.
yeah.
So you got to ride with Mahomes. So,
All
um,
right. Now you want to
but
get to the story.
that's it's not good news, people.
It's bad
Um,
news.
bad news. Definitely bad news.
The fact that
Um,
we spent so much time on waivers lets you know it's bad news.
Definitely bad news. Injuries. My
Injuries.
gosh, injuries. I mean, it was injuries all across the league.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say this. I think the injuries are because no preseason, no OTAs, no training camp. I
Right.
think all that is part of them getting injured. And they just, if you want to go based off time and dates and all that stuff, they just put on pads a month
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. And
So that has a lot to do with these injuries because these are like hamstrings,
yeah, you've seen a
ACL.
lot of hamstrings, turf toes,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is stuff that you got to strap.
ACLs,
I mean,
PCLs, MCLs, anything with ends in CL. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta get some type of training in. Not training.
Right.
It's good to train on your own, but you
Right.
got to get that NFL training camp training in, and it didn't happen this year.
Yeah. We've seen this
So
before, though. Remember when they had the lockout shortened season? They didn't have
yeah,
all the and you saw a very similar thing where there was a lot of early injury. I think what makes this one horrible for fantasy people like us is it's been so many big name guys. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
like the first two picks in most drafts were Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. Both
gone.
of them out. One for the year, one for basically a third of the year.
Yeah,
It's right now. So I mean, it's just one of those reminders that you always have to be ready. And I think your point is a very valid one. They had a very, I won't say, I don't want to use the word lax, but compared to your regular offseason, they basically went from sitting on their couch doing their own personal training to going full speed NFL action. And your
hmm
body needs an adjustment period. And I don't really think they had enough time to adjust to full NFL action. You know?
Well, I will say this, and it's going to come down to this. It's going to come down to who's healthier, and that's fantasy, and that's
Right.
real life. So, from a fantasy standpoint, if you have these players that's out 4 to 6 weeks, or they week to
Yeah.
week, or they on IR for 3 weeks, you kind of hold on to these players because,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. I'm gonna say this, but you want to get your injuries out of the way first before the next person get there because you
Right.
never know. Like in real life, the team that's getting injured now, they get their players back in a couple of
Right.
weeks.
Right.
Now the teams that ain't had any injuries, they gonna get hurt down the line because at some point your body's gonna take that
Right.
toll is gonna take on your body from not having that training camp. So I just think at the end of the day, it like Sunday man was so
It
bad to
was.
watch, man. It
It
was
was awful. So, someone did a Game of Thrones reference. They called it like a red wedding. The red wedding.
yeah, and I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. So I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about. It,
I'm
it's
not even a
it's
Game of Thrones fan, and I knew that. Once I saw that reference, I even knew what it meant. I was like, yeah,
yo. I
that's
was
basically
like,
what that was.
mind you, people, everybody know I'm an Niners fan,
Yeah.
and I was watching the game, and I watched all our players go down
Yeah.
literally one by one. But
Uh-oh.
they played,
Okay.
you bet.
Yeah, you.
Uh, they went down pretty much play after play, play
Yeah.
after play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Right.
Yo, it is terrible. Like, but when Saquon went down, and I heard it was the way he went off the field, I
Yeah.
already knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
He couldn't walk off the field, and he needed help. I was like, yeah, he done for the season.
Yeah.
CMC went down. I was like, Lord, he went down. Cortland Sutton hurt. I mean, we can go down a list.
Yeah.
Saquon out for the season, Nick Bosa out for the season, Jimmy G week to week, Raheem Mustard week to week, Chris McCaffrey 4 to 6 week, Cortland
Yeah.
Sutton out for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it don't get no worse than that. I mean, even if you want to talk about the injuries beforehand, Michael Thomas. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's
so many injuries, man. It really depends on if your team can get healthy at the right time. That's what
yeah.
it comes down to. So
Well, a good part of fantasy football is just being lucky anyway,
yeah,
trying to avoid injury. So here's the deal: injuries are a part of you. You can't account for them. They're gonna happen. And the thing, if you want to say for a fantasy football person, it happens to everybody. So you're
Yes.
not by yourself with it. Other people in your league are gonna have those same problems. So
Oh yeah.
your main thing is to just be proactive. Hopefully, you already drafted for depth, and that's one of the
Yeah.
things we said during the off season, especially with COVID. We said make sure you're drafting for depth because you don't know when someone's gonna miss a 2 week period for that. But now the same it works for injuries too. You hopefully hit enough depth that you can survive moving your players around. And then, hey, like we just did the whole session of waiver wires. Hopefully, you've been hitting those. If you did not hit the waiver wires this week, shame
Yeah.
on you. You
Yeah.
better jump on it right now. I also wanted to say though, with injuries, especially since it was so bad this year, I want to get your opinion on leagues that don't have an IR spot.
Well, I can
What do
kind
you
of
think?
touch on this because we're in all my leagues. We don't have IR
Not
spots.
all of them. Think about it.
Not, no, I'm talking about the leagues like the barbershop
Yeah,
and
but you said all
uh.
of your leagues because,
Okay.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm the
Well.
commissioner in one, and we definitely have an IR spot.
Yeah.
I put it in this year for COVID, but I'm actually thinking about just leaving it in there, period, because it comes in handy for situations like this. But
Well, I would say this. Like in the barbershop, obviously we don't
right,
have one.
I tried
Um,
to get one though.
we tried, we voted on
Yeah,
it, nobody wanted it. So
yeah,
they're gonna probably rethink that now, but it's neither here or there. But
yeah.
I
That's
think because we have so many spots in that league,
right.
I don't think is we have what 7 bench players, 6 or 7 bench players, and
Something
we
like that. I forget.
we run 20 players over there. So it's a lot of people. In a half the time, those bottom barrel players that's on your roster, they're interchangeable anyway.
True.
So unless you're carrying, excuse me, unless you're carrying 4 or 5 quarterbacks, which you can run in that league, then you're not going to have a space anyway. So, but this year, which in that league is a lot different this year because you can't even carry four or
Right.
five quarterbacks because you need the space for other
Yeah.
slots.
Well, you should never have 5 quarterbacks. I don't care.
We know somebody
Well,
that
for those that aren't familiar with it, we play in this very quarterback heavy league. It's a 10 team league, and I can say personally that quarterbacks can make or break your team because I had it worked well for me week one. Uh,
but week two it didn't.
Week two, it did not. I played against somebody whose 2 quarterbacks put up more points than my entire team.
Yes.
So so just to give you an idea why he said, because for the average person, if they heard you say you have 4 or 5 quarterbacks on your team, they're probably thinking you're an insane person. But
Yeah.
for this league, it there's some logic to it. 5, I still think it's too many because you do still need to have depth for your other skill spots. But I have done 4 before.
Just put it like this. The guy that he played had Josh Allen and he had I
Who was
want to
the other?
say Prescott.
Yeah, it was
So
Prescott. You're right.
and he had so Prescott put up 138
Too many.
points,
Yeah.
and Josh Allen put up
The same.
148
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So those two quarterbacks, it's just those two quarterbacks beat him by itself.
Yeah.
So in that league is a little different. It's not for everybody, obviously, but it goes back to like we were saying earlier. You can't carry that many quarterbacks this year because of the fact it ain't even about COVID anymore.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, it's really more
But it's
about
still COVID related. But it's and that's why I put in the IR spot in the other league.
yeah,
Just because we didn't know how people would be. But I was at the time, and you're co-commissioner with me, and that's when we
yeah,
discussed it. We were mainly thinking about people that were going to miss time because of the virus itself. But this is one of the unintended things that are COVID related because they didn't, like you said, have the full off season. They didn't have all the training and the preseason games to get their bodies together. So it's still COVID related, but just not quite the way we thought. So that's why I brought up the question. I think the IR spot. I mean, it makes sense to
I
have
mean,
that.
so I got a
I
question
play in
for
a
you.
few leagues that have them. I like the IR spot. I think is especially if you don't, especially with what we've seen this year. If you don't have
Yeah,
one, you probably wish you did.
I think
So
it's gonna be a permanent fixture
yeah,
now going forward. And that's something we probably gonna bring up in the gridiron, which is
Yeah.
I'm the commissioner, he's the co-commissioner, lead with me. So that's something we may bring up next year. But my question for you
Yeah.
is, being that what the league is seeing now with all these injuries, with no training camp, no preseason or OTAs, do you think they're gonna get rid of 2 preseason games, or they're gonna keep their 4 preseason games?
Well, I think they're still going to want to get rid of preseason games because they they want a longer season,
Okay.
and so you take out preseason games and you put regular season games in their place. Um, so I don't think there's going to be a change so much with the amount of physical games, but it's actually more when you really think about it, just because of the fact that for preseason you rest your guys after the first few
Pretty much.
seasons, so they're going to
Yeah.
actually end up playing more. But the players they get more money out of that. The owners
Okay.
get more revenue from ads and selling, whatever they sell.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going to see. Probably it will go down to 2 preseason games, and then they'll add extra football games up there.
That makes sense. Now, how does that affect? Because you know what I thought about honestly,
So,
if they went to 17 games, because basically
yeah,
no, it'll be 18 games.
18.
So basically, it'll be 18 games. How does that affect fantasy?
It's start sooner.
Well, I know that,
I mean, from on a week to week basis, I don't really think there's going to be that much. Except you might see. I hadn't thought about it until now, but you might end up seeing like they do in the NBA, where you rest. You know how they now just rest players sporadically through the season.
I don't like that
The
idea.
NFL season is shorter, so you
Yeah,
might not see that, but I think you might see people resting a bit. Maybe not the entire game like they do, but if we're up, you can play around with it a little bit more and rest your starters.
I
But
don't.
otherwise, I don't really see a big impact on fantasy, except we
Okay.
get more games, which is cool.
I'll take more games.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, definitely, I'll take more games. So I just think it's hopefully next week is not injury filled,
right.
because I'm definitely gonna cry if it is.
Hopefully, it
Uh,
doesn't happen to your 49ers because you won't have a
man,
squad left. Right.
the thing about that is, and we going back to the same stadium. We're going
Yeah.
back to the same stadium. We play the Giants next week,
Yeah.
and we're playing in that same stadium. But they actually reported it to the league about the field.
Yeah.
NFL Players Association said they had concerns with the field. They're actually gonna bring somebody out to actually check on the field,
Right.
because that they said that turf is terrible,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want, like, they say they're really scared, which
Yeah.
I would be afraid too after you watch. And that it's not even the 49ers that had injuries. The Jets actually had 4 injuries by themselves. They
Yeah.
just want big name injuries, but a lot of guys didn't make it back. Bashard Perriman
Yeah.
got hurt, so it's just injuries were
Yeah,
big last week.
it was huge. I'm
Yeah,
just happy as a Raiders fan that we no longer have the worst field in the NFL. So
you ain't lying. I just want to
because
tell you
that for
that
years has
stadium,
been the Allegiant Stadium. Yes,
that stadium is immaculate, brother. I
yeah,
will tell you that that stadium is worth the two whatever.
yeah.
Definitely nice. So, and good win this week. I will give you that. You did call it. So,
I was thinking about coming in this week with a crown on and a
I'm
championship because I caught if again plugging our Saturday show the
yeah,
40-second play clock. I caught it and I said, okay, y'all think I'm playing? The Raiders are gonna win this game. You laughed at me. I
I
have it
did.
on film. You laughed.
And look, you got
Everyone I told that to thought I was crazy and thought I was just being a homer, which I was. I will admit. However, there was evidence to me that they were going to win. Plus, one, Michael Thomas wasn't there, and I was like, that we only had one game to go by, but I was like, I don't think the offense is going to be as good as it has
yeah,
been. And like I said on that Saturday show, they are opening the new stadium. The adrenaline was going. And you always have to remember that the Raiders are the kings of Monday Night Football. I remember the
oh
days
my
when they were
god.
really awful. Monday night would be the one game the Raiders would somehow look good and win. So,
Mm,
yeah,
no, you did. I mean, y'all
hey,
played well. I
they
will give you
played
that.
very well.
Played
2 and
well.
0 for the first time since 2013. I,
Can you
I'm
keep it going?
I'm
Is the
ready for them to
question.
shut the season down. Now I already
Oh
hit my Super
gosh,
Bowl. Like no,
we're not gonna do that. Lord have mercy. No,
like
sir.
it can only go down from here. So
So, do you
yeah,
have any surprise players for the week that you think that could do possible work? I I have a few.
okay,
Um, I think that Seattle Dallas game.
that's
You've
gonna be a good.
seen what Dak Prescott did.
Yeah,
I think he does it again. I'm going out. It's not 450,
right, right, right.
but it's gonna be between the 3 and the 4 range.
Okay.
I, I think it's gonna be a shootout. It's gonna be a tough game, but Zeke gonna have to show up. I'm going Zeke. I'm going Dak. Um, and I'm saying
Hey,
the Rams.
here's
The
what I
Rams.
like about that game. CD
Okay,
Lamb. I'm really interested in seeing how CD Lamb does on this game.
CeeDee Lamb. He had good numbers last week, but I
Yeah,
think it was based on the fact that they had to come back.
yeah, they right.
I don't think it was in the flow numbers. Like
Yeah, I
it
give you
wasn't in
that.
the flow of the game numbers
Yeah,
because he only had 6 receptions for 106 yards. So that was more of we
he
got to
only
get
had
back in.
6%.
No, what I'm saying is this:
Right now, I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
it wasn't in the flow of the game. Like they
Right,
was trying to get him the ball.
right.
Now, would that change if he's not in the flow of the game? But I like CeeDee Lamb though. I think
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb. I told you by the end of the year
you did. You,
he's gonna be that number 1 receiver. Amari Cooper is cool and everything, but CeeDee Lamb is
Amari
gonna be
Cooper's
that
cool.
guy. We know you don't like Amari Cooper
Yeah,
just because you're Raider days.
yeah. I mean, even aside from that, he can't hold on to the ball.
Okay,
That's always been his knock. But yeah, and he disappears from big games all the
okay.
time. But you know.
I mean,
It's a little bit of hate. I admit that's a little bit of hate. But I'm
yeah,
excited. You said players. I'm excited to see CD Lamb this next game.
me too.
Yeah.
And I think a bounce back player I'm looking forward to. Carson Wentz got to step up, man. I don't know what Carson Wentz is doing, bro. I need to call your daddy and ask him. Do we need to pick up the
I
phone and
had a
call him or something?
conversation with him this week about
Really?
Carson Wentz, and he shares my. You remember, for those that watched our pilot season, at some point we started talking about Carson Wentz, and I said I was not a believer. I said the best the Eagles have looked. I remember specific. I said the best
Yeah.
the Eagles have looked was with Nick Foles there, and Carson Wentz isn't that guy. Somehow in the off season, I drunk the Kool-Aid and I was like, I don't know how my opinion changed so dramatically
Oh, Lord.
from the end of last season to the beginning of this season. But I somehow started, I think it was Jalen Rieger that made me think this. I'm going to
Well,
blame it on him. I really thought Carson was going to be the guy. I have him in one of my leagues, one of my most important leagues, and he's
yeah.
done nothing but disappoint and let me down.
Speaking
So
of
I think this week he has to put it up. It's like
speaking of
this
injuries, Jalen Rieger out for half the season too.
yeah,
He just
yeah.
yeah. Now I
But
really think it's
that's the Eagles, right? The Eagles
yeah.
can't go through.
That's
They can't
definitely
have healthy receivers, you know.
exactly.
So yeah,
I really think, really honestly, I think it's time for Dez to end up somewhere. Like Philly has
okay,
no receivers, dog. Like Deshaun Jackson, we all know how you feel about Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson,
yeah.
it he was good back then, but he's not good now. You have to
Hey, if
get
I can get
you
in a
have
time machine, go back 10 years, sign me up for Deshaun Jackson. If I have to do this in 2020, no.
now. I think the problem with Carson Wentz is they have no receivers,
Yeah, but they
and
didn't
I
have
think
receivers last year, and he looked good.
they only won 8 games last
Yeah.
year, Jay.
Okay. Let me rephrase the word good.
Yeah, they only won 8 games, so I mean,
Right.
it didn't look
He
that
looked
great.
better. He
He
looked
looked
better.
better.
There you go.
It's just, I mean, they
Yeah.
don't have anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can double, and they can these 2 tight ends, they can double the whole game.
Yeah.
And what you gonna do then? Because you have nothing else to throw to. Now Deshaun Jackson is your number 1 wide receiver, and that's not a great thing.
That is not a formula for success.
So, I just think in my last one, this guy, man, Deshaun Watson, man, I feel bad for him,
Yeah.
man. Bad for this man, because if you watched that game last week, he couldn't do anything.
And it doesn't get better because you
No.
got to play the Steelers this week.
Yes.
So we'll talk.
We're gonna talk more about
We'll
that on our
talk that
Saturday
this on the Saturday show, but
show, but
it's not.
just a
This is not
tad.
shaping up. I think Deshaun probably went to Hallmark this weekend and got a whole thing of missing you cards, just saying
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins come back. I miss you.
I
It's
mean,
just been
you just
terrible.
it's sad
Yeah.
because I read something. It's weird. I read an article today,
Mm-hmm.
and they said he's Matthew Stafford 2.0. As far as how Matthew Stafford
Right.
has never really panned out, which I think that's an insult to Deshaun Watson a little bit.
Yeah. That's why I try to think like
That's an
that's
insult, but I just don't. I
yeah.
kind of think they kind of went left on that one a little bit
Uh,
because Matthew Stafford has always had he's had Calvin Johnson most of
right.
his career.
Right.
So Deshaun Watson had Hopkins, but when Calvin Johnson left, that's when Stafford started to struggle a little bit. And I blame it on the front office with Deshaun Watson because
Yeah.
they gave away his best asset.
Well, they
Don't
said it was a financial move, so I mean, that way they can give Deshaun Watson all that cash. But they better come in with a better wide receiving crew next year because they're making his life miserable. It's a shame to have paid him all that money and not give him any talent to show
You
at
gotta
all.
put some
You wasted the
around
money,
him.
right? Exactly.
You gotta
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks. And I told you,
Yeah.
what I tell you, Will Fuller gonna get out the bed hurt. He got out the bed hurt.
Hey, I told people Will Fuller to ride it while you can because it's it's a limited it's a limited time offer.
You ain't lying. He hurt
Yeah,
now. We don't even
yes,
know why he hurt. We just know
yeah.
he ain't playing. He came to the field. He came to the arena one day. He
Hey,
came to the stadium. Was like, I can't play today. I'm hurt. Like
hey,
seriously, really.
hey. He fulfilled my prediction for week 1, so he don't have to do anything the rest of the year. I don't even care.
Brandon Cook's
Right.
been hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
it's. I feel bad for him
Look, the
because
fact if you look at trending people, Randall Cobb has been one of the biggest trending wide receivers. And that lets you know right along the lines that things are not good in Houston.
I mean, my
Yeah.
thing is do you bring in Antonio Brown?
No.
You don't?
No.
With all the hot mess they got
No.
out there,
I don't
you don't
care. You don't
you
bring
don't
him
do
in.
it.
Because he's going to make a bad situation worse. Because
That's
I think it's pretty obvious they're not going to win a lot this year. And if you bring Antonio Brown in there, it's not going to help it. You just go with what you got. And I don't even like this move, but I would much rather they go with like a Dez Bryant before they go with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was good when he was younger, and he had the potential to make some noise. If anything, they should probably trade for somebody. Uh,
like who though?
maybe
There's
I don't.
nothing out there.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I can see
Yeah.
it's two teams I see Dez on. Well, three.
Okay.
The Giants obviously
Mm-hmm.
because they have no receivers. Houston and I just said the other team.
Philly.
Philly.
Yeah.
Those three teams they need
They
to at
need
least
receivers.
think about bringing Dez in because Dez can help in some way. I would say four really. The 49ers, us. Because we're so depleted at receiver right now.
Yeah,
I feel
they are
like
right now. But Debo's coming back. I think.
he is.
So
Debo's coming back.
yeah.
But I put it
I
like this.
hope
I had a
Debo's coming
conversation
back.
with another 49ers fan the other day. And he was like, I would have went Dez Bryant over Sanu. And I
No.
kind of agree. The only reason I say Sanu because he know the playbook and you don't have to
Exactly.
teach it
And
to
that's
him.
why. And he played
That's
in the league last year.
played in the league last.
Yes.
So yes. But if you're thinking about name wise, big body, somebody that's still relatively young, because Dez is not even 30
Yeah,
yet, if I'm
he's
not mistaken.
yeah.
He's like 29, almost 30.
Right.
He can beat somebody, but I just feel like Dez should be in the league. With all these injuries, Dez should be in the league.
I didn't think he had a shot at it, but the way this season has started off, that shot is getting bigger. I'll say that much. I don't go with it myself, but I can see someone trying to make that happen. Yeah.
And then with these quarterbacks going down, we already know what quarterback they need to be in the league, but we're not even going to talk about that. So we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that one alone. So, but
I take a knee and just leave that one unstated.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that one alone. So,
right.
Yeah, but I just think it's crazy. But the injuries and everything, man, my mood was so somber on Sunday, man. I was because I was already losing fantasy anyway.
Right.
Early part of the day, and I was like, and then everybody on my team is getting hurt. I was like, yo, this day, my wife was like, you okay? I was like, you should have seen me, right? I had my pillow, I had my 49er socks.
I was saying, when you wrapped up in the blanket.
I had my blanket. My daughter had her 49er shirt on. I was like, yo, I need all the luck I can get right now. I was like, come on, something. It worked, but I was like, yo,
y'all won the game.
We won the game.
You won the game.
I
you only have half a roster for next week, but you won that game. So
I mean, they bringing in some people, but we're gonna see what happens. So I don't know. But people, look out for the Saturday show. 40-second play clock. You know what time it is. It will be there on Saturday.
Yes, indeed.
Check us out. Let your friend know. Tell your friend, tell somebody. Tell your friend, tell somebody. We here. We ain't going nowhere. So
yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Like I said, tell everybody about us. We just trying to have these nice conversations. We thank all the people that submitted questions today. Watch us on the Saturday show. It's gonna post sometime usually early in the morning, or mid-afternoon, but it'll be up there in enough time for you to get your lineup straight. You'll see us make more picks. Hopefully Rodney can try to come back and make himself relevant, because if he puts up another 8-8 week, I think I'm going to have to fire him off the show and try to get us find a substitute.
Well, he can't fire me because
I know, right?
He's not going to find anybody named Rodney, by the way, that can be R.
Hey, we put a lot of work together to have R and J, so I can't throw it off. I'm just going to clown you the rest of the year.
Yeah, he can't do that. And we signed a lifetime contract with this thing.
There you go.
So it's not. He can't get rid of me, people. I'm just sorry. It's not gonna happen.
Hey,
so
neither one of us going anywhere. So
no, it's not gonna happen. I mean,
all right.
Exactly. So, but thank you for joining us. Tune in Wednesdays, Saturdays. Check us out. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Working on the Twitter page, so we're gonna get that going. So just check us out. We all over the place. Like our rjfantasyfootball.com. Check us out on our website. Everything you can find on YouTube, you can definitely find on the website.
Yes.
So
indeed.
Even more on the website, you can find vlogs and everything. So definitely check us out. Y'all have a good night.
Peace. Enjoy yourselves.
All right.